Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on Management Muse. I'm your host, Cindi Baldi. And with me is Paige Wiese. She is the founder and CEO of Tree Ring Digital. Let's talk about digital consistency. What's probably your biggest lesson learned?
Biggest lesson learned is, anything, even me, as someone who, has this product and this framework and everything, it can still happen. I've logged into far too many websites only to find out there's 4 past vendors in there, only to find out, there's people still have access to ad accounts that probably shouldn't have access to that. I've got employees that'll come to me and say, can you give me, I'm the new, marketing manager here. Can you give me admin access? And I'm like, sure, like that's what we're being told to do. And then they remove me immediately. And I'm like, that's fine, but that was your safety net. The employer or the owner doesn't actually realize the employee just took ownership. So they're fine and dandy because they think that it's in the company's hands, but they don't realize that it should have gone to a different upper management. They're just happy that it's in the company's name and not mine, for example. And so it's like really trying to educate. There's a whole different piece of access and being able to log in and who actually owns. And then second is you don't know if they've been saving stuff on their browser. You can remove them from 1Password, but if they're doing the password manager on their
Oh, for
browser,
sure. Yeah.
you have no idea. So is it really the safety net that you need, or do you need to be going to a completely different platform to say who has access? What happens if something happens? What happens if the credit card is triggered as fraud? You don't need your domain expiring because that didn't get updated. And so it keeps track of all those different data points to really make sure and protect that brand.
Okay, that's actually an interesting point. So, like, if you have to cancel your credit card and it's the credit card that's paying for a random assortment of,
All of the
of
things these days.
tools and apps. And so does the platform, when you update it on the platform, does that automatically update it on all those sites?
Initially, it's just showing you where it's at. So you would be able to use the search bar and it's going to say, type in the last 4 numbers. And then it's going to say this credit card is on all of these platforms.
Oh, that's
And
actually
then
pretty
that way
cool.
you can go log into the platform and get those updated if needed. And then also it'll, say, yeah, this is when it's going to expire. If you need to go double check. A lot of clients like, oh, thanks for the reminder on auto renew. Like it's on auto renew though. I'm good. They didn't realize that the notifications go to a completely different email address. Credit card stops working. They lose the domain. They call me. Sometimes we're paying $3,000, $5,000 to buy that domain name back,
Oh,
and they aren't expecting that. And
yeah. And
so
there are
that's
companies
what
that do that. There are companies that wait for your
yep,
domain to go, and then basically it's low level blackmail.
100%. And so how do we prevent that? Right. And in the past, we would make a notification and say, hey, just a reminder, it's up for renewal. We started getting a lot of clients pushing back going, oh, I handle it. Don't worry. Thanks though, and just kind of brush it off. And it's like, I've seen this call too many times. How do we prevent this from happening? And how do we make sure that, yes, it might be on auto renew. I've got a guy right now. He's, trying to figure out how to sue one of the companies. And it's like, I don't know if you're going to win. I truthfully they have a process in place. I know they sent those emails out the door. They're covering their
Tail
to
end.
make sure.
It's just,
Yeah.
like again, like depending on how it's set up, it could be going to an email of an employee who no longer exists, and
So you have the
you don't know.
logins. It's not going to do anything for you, though, if you're not getting the notifications, right? And so that's what Assetto is doing. Assetto is going in and tracking all of those different data points so that nothing really slips through the cracks and that you're not having that unexpected downtime and your company coming to a halt.
Wow, that's great. It's one single problem, but it kicks off so many symptoms.
So many headaches. It kicks off, it's like one little thing then leads to so many others, or then you start realizing, oh, how many other times did they do this, right? Sometimes there's policies in place of set it up on this. They're going to do whatever's faster. If they don't want to wait for a 2FA from an owner because the owner's on vacation, but they were tasked to go set something up, they're going to find a way to set something up and go, I'll change it when they're back in town.
And then
A
forget.
week happens, they forget. And so a lot of times you have to look at it, it wasn't malicious. It was them just trying to keep things moving. It's more malicious in how they handle it later. I have seen a lot of web developers hold domain names hostage for no reason. I don't even know why. From day one, I've always said, I'll buy it just because I don't want you spending thousands of dollars on extra products you don't need. But if anything ever comes up, it's your domain at the end of the day. You just ask and we'll get it transferred to you. But There's a lot of companies that'll say, "We bought it. It's ours." And they won't hand it back over, and it's just such poor practice. So that gives the other question you asked, right? Like, why? Because I've just seen so much poor practice over the years of so many vendors holding companies hostage, if you will. Like, we're not gonna give that back for no reason. They just
Well, I
want the
mean,
money.
it is another management lesson in there, right? It's
Yeah.
that you have to be clear in your contracts who actually has the ownership because
And they don't wanna read on the
they
owner's busy, like, "Blah, blah, blah, I'm sure it's mine, let's keep going," and far too often, it's no. It's right there and says that it's theirs if you disappear.
right. So, I mean, that's probably one thing that you have to actually read.
Yeah. And
Or
what are
or
your
stick it
contracts?
through AI and have AI read it and tell you who is the owner. Like I
Yeah,
like
what are the
because
terms
they
of
do
this?
they do bury it. I mean, there's some that it's just they're taking a boilerplate form and they're creating a contract. But there's some also who like play this game and they're putting in a lot of extra stuff that looks standard and boring so that way they break you so you don't read. And most people I don't think are reading contracts online.
No, most are no. I mean, especially now with e-signing so easy, they're just like, "Okay, cool, great, let's keep moving," right? And I would say though too, like, what are your contracts for your employees, right? Like, what are you putting into place as far as anything they set up? Usually it's covered, but what if they use their personal email address to set up stuff on your work time, right? What if
Hmm.
they're completing work and setting it up? The one example we see often right now is AI. All of the LLMs are getting set up under personal accounts, not work accounts, but getting trained on business data. So now when that employee leaves with their personal account, you really can't fight them. You
Yeah.
have to figure out, are you really wanting to pay that legal bill to go after them and make just a headache for everybody to say, we need the stuff that's ours that was done on our hours. And so really encouraging just even not even just vendor contracts, but internal contracts and documentation. And what does that look like? Because the technology is changing and how we run and operate businesses is changing. And sometimes those contracts haven't kept up.
It's a good point. They could be doing a lot of development on their personal emails in AI. And then when they're gone, you don't have any access to any of that.
I see it used and I'm like, that's not coming from our account. Like, I don't see any of those emails, or whatever. And I see being drafted in any of our accounts. So it's like, I know you're using it, like how do you get ahead of it? What's the policy and how much are you using it? And every industry is different, right? How much personal and proprietary data are you uploading? Is the training model turned on or off? But we do a lot in M&A. There's a lot you should not be uploading. So what they're doing is, well, I still want to use it. So let me go use the personal side where I won't get caught and upload the data. And so like you just got to really start keeping a pulse on these pieces. And especially with the advancements of AI and the new, SaaSes and everything coming out.
I will say also, like recently, I've noticed like an uptick in the companies that am interacting with as a customer, where it's so many disjointed apps and you know for sure that they don't have them interconnected, that they're just having a problem and then they're forcing the customer to sign on to yet another app. It's very unlikely that they actually have like a comprehensive underlying digital consistency policy.
Right.
So it's like I think that's now my new kind of way that I measure a company is
Yeah.
how many apps, because it tells me something about sort of how intentional and thoughtful the organization is in terms of developing key structures that are critical to your business.
Well,
It's
and that's the other place we look at it, right? I mean, we have so many tools now, which can be great.
it's
There's amazing
awesome
things they
on
can
one
do.
hand.
Yeah, but there's so many businesses that don't know how to connect them. So that's when you're asking about digital continuity too. It's like, is your website really talking to your CRM or are you still manually adding all of this data? Is your Calendly really talking to your CRM or are you manually having to go do something, right? Are you making sure that the systems are interconnected in the correct ways? And there are tools that will start to do that, but it's not like a one and done. You usually have to bring in a developer. Like we do a lot of it at Tree Ring Digital of how do we integrate this tool to that tool so that it is in fact working. And then you've got a lot of other amazing companies that are doing the digital transformation with the AI where they are connecting it. But I'm gonna tell you, it's still a lot to connect those various pieces, and that's why you're seeing that, like, disconnect because no one really knows which one they should be working with yet, right? HubSpot does a really good job because they've been around for a long time and they know what some of those really top popular tools are. So they've made it fairly easy to interconnect with so many of those top brands, but they're also a really large company that has the development team to be able to help create those pieces and create those partnerships. But when you got all these random AI tools, they're still just trying to get their AI built. And they're just trying to get their own tool built before they can even think about how do we let other ones connect in. And so that's the reason where you start to see these disconnects and none of them are talking to one another. You can set up a voice agent, but it's not necessarily going to talk to like your CRM exactly how you want it to.
It's interesting. All right, last thoughts. What would you like the audience to know?
Ask the questions, get, like you said, read the contracts, document who has access, and just be prepared. It's never fun. And I hate getting the phone call of, we're letting someone go. We need to change all the passwords immediately. And I have to answer, I only have your website. You never ever told us any other things that your business is operating on. I can't help you. And like, well, what do we do? I don't know what. You're just going to have to start walking through, like, platform by platform. So you have to have that plan and know what are you going to do in a recovery process before it gets to be too late. And it happens. It happens all the time. And so you just got to be prepared and start paying attention to it.